Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of In the Abyss. I'm Rob of the Actors Workshop, and today we're going to talk about approach. I believe there's two types of approaches, right, in our business. Number one, how do you approach the business side, but then also how do you approach the work? The other day we were talking about understanding, right, which is a mentality. Well, your approach is also a mentality. So when it comes to the standpoint of how most actors approach this business or approach it, it's all about them. You know what I mean? It's me, I, right? And it's the script and it's the character and it's all consumed in them, and it basically shuts out the people that they work with. So if you think about in terms of relationships, and I always say that acting is about relationships. That's what draws audiences in. That's what draws us in as actors. That's what makes it work. If it's all about you in a relationship, it's not going to be a good relationship. If it's about the other person or persons, then it's going to be a really good relationship, and that reflects in the work as well. So when you have an approach from the business standpoint, yes, it's all about you. It's me, I. But when it comes to the work itself, the mentality has to be, I am going to make it about you. So, yes, the understanding, right? The mentality of understanding a period of time and how people thought and how they dealt with things and how they were in the moment because they did not know what was going to be an outcome or what was going to be different, and the sacrifices they had to make and all those things that we talked about. So your mentality has to be, you know, locked into that understanding. But the approach also has to be adapting to the situation and the people you're working with. You know, it's easy when you know someone to just assume this is how they'd be or this is how you would deal with them. But as people, if we were dealing with people in different circumstances, we adjust. We see that every day in our regular life, right? With the people we're around, family members that don't necessarily get along with us or rub you the wrong way or whatever those kinds of things are. We kind of adjust and deal. Maybe at work, right? You have a coworker or a boss you have to adjust to and deal. And ultimately, you're never losing who and what you are. You're just adjusting to those situations, but always keeping who and what you are. And that keeps you open for triggers and instincts and allows you to be who and what you are in front of the camera. So your approach has to be, I am prepared, I know my dialogue, I am focused, I am on the set ready to go. And we talked about this the other night in class. You know, when you walk into the classroom, where's your mentality? Are you focused? Are you locked in? Are you ready to go? Or are you thinking about the day? Are you thinking about other things? Are you dealing with other things? And then all of a sudden you get called up to do work and your mind is not focused. The mentality is not there and ready to go. Your mind has to always be ready. And until you get really good and consistent at this, you're not going to be able to flip that switch off and on. You're going to have to be able to come in focused, ready to go. You know, and sometimes it's easier, you know, you're driving to an audition and you're thinking about the audition. Now, what do most people do? Think about the dialogue. What do most people do? Think about the audition. Instead of thinking about, you know, I'm going to go in there, I'm prepared, I'm ready to go, and I'm going to let them see me. If they like me, great. If they don't, they're going to remember me. And then move on. So, yeah, you'll have time to do that. But once again, don't make it about you. Make it about the audition, meaning from the standpoint of how you represent you, right? So what I'm really trying to do in this mental approach is take your mind away from everything that you think you have to do and throw it onto what others can give you, right? That's a good relationship. Selfless, throw it on other people, then they throw it back at you and you have something, you know? And that really is the key to being really good actors is your approach. Once again, your approach from the business standpoint. Are you doing all the things that you can from the business standpoint? You know, fine tuning the resume, you know, IMDb, Actors Access, LA Casting, all those different kinds of things. Doing your training, coming to the Actors Workshop and getting your work in at least twice a week. And then the approach, once you're there doing the work, away from yourself and making it about the people or the person that you're working with at that time and really locked in. Because if you have, and here's the connection, if you walk in with the mentality of it is 1892, I'm an inspector, and I'm dealing with these killings in London, all of a sudden you start to understand, right? Because going off the other day, understanding that period of time and now walking in with that mentality of understanding and the approach of this is the situation you're in, what starts to happen is you start to deal with those situations, which starts to make it believable. So you see how all of this kind of connects and gets tied together. You know, one of the things I really try to do as an acting coach is keep challenging my actors, keep making them expand their thought process, keep making them think outside the box, and keep pushing them. So the stuff I'm talking about right now is really a coaching thing and not so much a actor thing, right? It's the same thing. As many of you know, I coach high school football, and a lot of what I train my athletes is what is their approach, what is their mentality, right? And it's the same thing. If they're making it about them, they're not going to be a good teammate. If they're making it about their teammates, they're going to be a good teammate. So it's the same thing as an actor is if I come in understanding and my approach and mentality is about the other people, all of a sudden now we're dealing, it's believable, and all of a sudden we're pretty good actors. And if you can get consistent at that, you are going to be really good and you're going to be really, really strong. And that's what we're working towards, that consistency. And once again, we talked about this, not the consistency or the confidence when it's easy. It's the consistency and confidence when it's not easy. That's what you need to bring to the table, you know? So suggestions, things that you can do when you're coming to class, before you get out of that car and walk into the room, mentality should be and needs to be, okay, I need to work on this. And go in and forget it. You should know all your stuff. Go in there subconsciously. Now you know what you're going to need to work on and go work on it, right? And keep working toward that goal. If you're walking into class every day going, I'm going to work on this and I'm going to work on that and do this and do that and adjust and do that, your mind's going to be scrambling. It's really tough to get to that point. But if you're just focused on the one thing until you master that, then you move on to the next thing and the next thing. It builds that consistency and it builds that confidence. So once again, the two approaches. What is your approach from the business standpoint? And then what is your approach from the actor standpoint? This episode is more about the approach from the actor standpoint, but tied in with the business standpoint. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully these little tidbits kind of, you know, make you think a little bit more about this kind of stuff. And hopefully for my students and future students, it helps you guys have a different approach when you are coming to class, you're going on audition and you're going on the set. All right. So I hope you guys appreciate this. Please leave any comments you might have. If you have not subscribed, please do that. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.